Hey, this is Pastor Larry here with Ask Larry. And Mark from Canada has asked a question that's a pretty good one. And it's that as church keeps growing and things get more and more difficult. And so he's asking, how do I figure out how to kind of restructure ourselves in light of the complexity that keeps showing up? And that was a key word in the question, complexity. Because I've written and talked about many times how as an organization grows, the leadership changes from, for instance, relationships like a track decathlete athlete, for instance, that practices with other but does everything alone and really only cares about their PR, their personal record, not so much about the team score. How then you move to like golfing buddies, very relational. The 19th hole is more important than the 18th. Then maybe do a basketball squad where everybody knows everything and everyone, but now you have much more defined roles. You have people who are the stars, the keys. You have people that are energy, maybe coming off the bench. And you have a few people who are nothing more than practice fodder. They only get in the game when you're up by 30 and there's about 40 seconds left. And then you move maybe to a football team where it's much more complex and the offense doesn't always know what the defense is doing. And by the time you've moved from high school to professional, everything is very complex and very intense. So here's what you do as you're going through growing pains and you're trying to figure out how to reorg. Number one, make sure you don't use Bible verses to justify your structure. Because as a Bible guy, I've always got a Bible verse behind my structure. But if I tack it on to the methods and structure we have, then when it's time to change method and structures, people are going to think I'm changing my theology. And that'll be the bullet they use to resist whatever changes need to be made. But the second thing is to understand most of the difficulty we have as something grows and begins not to work very well is centered around this thing called complexity and how it works out. Because whenever anything grows and you begin to add things to it, you either are adding new staff, you're adding new services, you're adding new sites, whatever it would be, what you're doing is you're increasing complexity. And here's the key. When you have a problem of complexity, there is only one solution to complexity. And the solution to complexity is simplicity. That's it. And so if you would put into your mind every time you find yourself questioning, how do we deal with this growth? What do we do? What needs to change? You should always be moving from complexity to simplicity. Let me show you how complexity increases and sneaks up on you. If you've got two different people that have to communicate together, what you've got is two lines of communication. If you have two services on a weekend that have to work together, you have two lines of communication. You've got two of anything, two lines of communication. When you add a third, what happens is you go from 2 to 6. If you add a fourth up here and you make them all go together, I am an artist, you know, then you have 12. By the time you've added 5 services, 5 people on your leadership team, 5 locations, 5 ministries or departments, you now have 20 lines of communication. And that's why you feel this sense of breakdown. Now, nobody wants to lose their insider position, the prestige that comes with that. Nobody wants to lose their power of speaking into what goes on. And nobody wants to lose their preferences because things have been designed the way they like them. But at some point, power, prestige, and preference are going to have to be lost because you just cannot keep adding more and more people to things. And I mean, it just gets crazy as you add this. So I can't always answer what is the thing to do as we grow. How should we structure? What should we do? There are a lot of ways to do that. It's like taking 5 Michelin 5-star restaurants and talking to each of the chefs. They're all going to tell you a secret that's different than the other secrets, but they're going to have some things in common. And when it comes to leadership and how do we adapt to the growth and make the changes we need to make, here's the thing that every successful solution has in common. Simplicity instead of complexity. Hold on to that and figure out how can we simplify this thing. Yes, you're going to hurt a few people along the way. Yes, there's going to be some disappointments. But if you don't find simplicity, sooner or later, everything's going to break.